Hey guys, 2 videos, 1 night, so lucky. Do you remember how I said like no procedure for me is really, I don't consider any procedure a simple procedure? Today was no exception. So for the past week or so I've known that I'm going to get an iron infusion because my ferritin is low, not my iron. Little educational lesson right here. Ferritin is the protein that is found in iron. So ferritin, imagine ferritin is your reserve gas tank, and mine essentially was depleted. So my iron level showed up okay because I was running off of my iron, I was running off of basically fumes, and I was never able to tap into the reserve tank because there were no reserves. So anyway, I was prescribed some iron infusions, which I was asking different people, some who have had them, some who have actually given them as like a nurse, what to expect, and everyone kind of gave the same, like, don't think too much about it, so you won't get worked up over it, which, there's a point there. There's also a point to, like, I want to be prepared for what's going to happen. So they would tell me little bits here and there, and mostly I was concerned about maybe I kind of expected I'll get a bit of a headache maybe, because that seems to be a common side effect, or maybe I'll feel a little bit sick, maybe even have some GI distress. Wouldn't have imagined what actually happened today. I am alive, just to put that out there. Hi. I know it kind of appears like I'm a ghost with these, but that's just for fun effect. So I went in, and an iron infusion is really rather simple. The preparation for it, for me, they put an IV in. I can't have tape. I tell them this, they're like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And they like start naming all these brands, and I'm like, I can't do that, I'm allergic. It's the adhesive that I'm allergic to. Like, I don't care if it's hypoallergenic. You can't make an adhesive hypoallergenic per se, because there's always going to be an adherent unless you make the adhesive out of something non-sticky, if that even makes sense. But needless to say, they found this semi-clever solution, which was still a little bit itchy, but not as bad as other reactions that I've had previously. So before that was even, the IV was even able to be taped down, blood is kind of like flowing at a steady pace out from the IV site because the nurse didn't really secure the area very well. So that's kind of what happens. You get a lovely red trickle waterfall going on, and then she had to, kind of clean up the mess that she made with my mess, my insides, my blood volume. It was okay. I waited a while for that. So my infusion was scheduled for 3:30. I didn't actually get infused until maybe 4:30 because of this little bit of a hold up. And then when I was infused, I was just thinking, wow, this is boring. I'm just gonna sit here and open all the mail that I got today. And I'm really glad, I'm not having a reaction, and I'm sitting there, and there's a reason that they ask you to sit there for like an hour after you're infused. So then my lips started tingling a little bit, and I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, well, whatever. I'm gonna breathe through this, cause maybe I'm just a little bit anxious. So I was breathing, and tingling wasn't going away, and I decided, yeah, maybe I should tell someone after about 5 minutes. They know that I have a history of anaphylactic reactions, well, once, last year, from some sort of stinging object. That might be a story for another day, maybe not. But they were already aware of that. So I approached the nurse's station, and I'm like, my lips are tingling. And then, like, the whole ambiance of the room just changed. Like, the nurses, who wasn't even my nurse, calls to my nurse, and like, she's like, call the doctor. And then this whole, like, I don't know, cascade of events occurred, and to be honest, they were very well prepared. They knew what to do, and they kept their shit together. And by them keeping their shit together, it probably kept me alive, because the moment I turned around, they're like, go sit down. And then they're like, she looks flushed. And then I'm just like, oh gosh, like, am I having a reaction again? But obviously to a different substance this time, because, I actually am allergic to half of life, so it's not really unexpected now that I would, you know, I might even just break out into anaphylaxis from just breathing the wrong way, because it's me and it's my body, and my body just likes to have fun, and I don't know, test limits. So I go sit down, and me being the medical person I am, you know, they take my blood pressure, and I can feel my pulse bounding as the cuff is inflating, and I'm like, oh, my pulse is racing, and I'm saying this pretty monotone because I really try to remain calm in stressful situations. It's really not helpful to be like, oh, I'm freaking out, I'm having an anaphylactic reaction, because guess what, that like takes more air, more breath, more energy, more oxygen, and I need all the oxygen that I can have, particularly when my bronchioles are slowly constricting, or fastly, depending on how you want to look at that. So I wasn't freaking out, but I know that after they took my blood pressure, that nurse was like, what was your blood pressure when you arrived? Well, what? And like trying to get me to recall these numbers, and she's just like, then another person comes over, what was it when you arrived? And it's like, did I not just say that like 1.2 seconds ago? I get, why not waste more air? Because air was not at all precious at that moment. It certainly was. I needed air. And so then, yeah, my pulse was bounding. My pulse had risen from, usually I'm in between 60 and 70 beats per minute. My pulse was up to 110, and my blood pressure was actually super high. Now, for those medical folks out there, I know you're probably thinking, it's not anaphylaxis if the blood pressure's super high, but guess what? There's a point, if you've learned about compensatory mode, your body compensates, and then drops. I mean, I'm sure you brilliant medical folk actually know that. So basically, since it was an early anaphylactic reaction, I believe that is why my blood pressure had spiked, because it was like spiking. And of course, you know, a body can only compensate so long, so eventually it would have dropped had I not been provided with an antihistamine. Now in this case, usually, because I'm driving myself home, usually they do not give out Benadryl because it makes you drowsy. Guess what? Special exception. I don't get drowsy from Benadryl. I get amped up. I mean, the antihistamine still does its job, like it ought to, but it does not make me tired. So they traditionally don't give Benadryl, but I happened to say, well, I have Benadryl on me. Like, can we use it? And they're like, oh, we'll give you some of our own. We'll give you a pill. I'm thinking, brilliant. I have a swallowing disorder. Without an anaphylactic reaction, I already have a transit time of solid objects of about 3 minutes. For those of you who want exact numbers, 2 minutes and 56 seconds is my transit time. But I was just like, not a good idea. But, you know, I just did. So I'm swallowing water, which is difficult. I'm swallowing this pill. This pill, of course, is going to be stuck in my throat at all times today, because closing and peristalsis really doesn't like to function on solid objects. Go figure. So I'm like, alright, it's fine. It went down, kind of, but it's going to take 3 minutes to get all the way down, to get into my stomach, to break down. And they're like, you know, going back and forth, what do we do, what do we do? And I'm like, I have liquid Benadryl, as I'd been telling them, like, for 5 minutes at this point. I don't know. Time flies by when you're having an anaphylactic reaction. I mean, kind of does, because life flashes in front of you real quick. Anyway, I digress. So I finally, they determined, okay, yes, she should take some of her liquid Benadryl, because it's not gonna actually go down for a while. I took my liquid Benadryl. Long story short, took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was measured, as Carl, EMT instructor / coworker, former coworker, would like to say. You can't take someone's blood pressure, because then they're going to get scared. You have to say it's being measured. So my blood pressure was measured again, and it was okay. It was now within normal limits, satisfactory limits, as opposed to super high, like it had been maybe 30 minutes prior. And then, you know, I was released. Such an eventful day. First day back at school, first infusion, first day in a new house, lots of firsts, first day of the rest of my life.